My 3 husbands and mates, who are also the alphas of the full moon pack, left the annual party and went somewhere with their mistress, leaving me behind. As the pack's Luna, I dutifully prepared for our yearly pack get-together, but they almost ruined it because they couldn't wait to spend time alone with Anita. Anita was their concubine. She was their one true love, a woman better than me in every way. They were deeply in love. Even when the triplets, Lennox, Levi, and Louie, found out we were mates and they marked me as their Luna, they only had Anita in their heart. As their mate, it kills me to know that the men who are supposed to love and cherish me are in love with someone else. They always reminded me that they felt nothing for me. In the time we've been married, they have treated me as nothing more than a subordinate. Aside from being Luna, I'm also Lennox's right hand in the military. Since my father was a former beta and used to train the warriors, I'm in charge of pack training and always work alongside him like his personal assistant. With my fighting skills, no one in this pack can beat me. I earned my position. It's also one of the reasons their father was thrilled to find out I was his son's mate. If it weren't for their father, the brothers would have rejected me. I would have lived miserably, watching them be happy with someone else, building a family. My father was once one of the pack's strongest warriors, my mother a healer at the pack hospital. We weren't rich, but we were respected until the night everything was ripped away. I had always admired the brothers, the future alphas. As children, I often played with them at the pack house. But one day, my father was framed for stealing from the alpha. The evidence was planted too perfectly, his pleas ignored. My father was sentenced to rot in prison. Since then, the brothers never looked at me again. I know I don't have a place in their heart. I thought everything would be okay as long as I fulfilled my duties as their Luna and right hand. But things only got worse when they accepted Anita as their concubine. Since then, my husbands have become colder and more distant. They also started neglecting their duties because of her, adding to my workload. But this couldn't go on any longer. I had to confront them to make it clear this filthy business with Anita had to end. My palms grew clammy as I made my way toward their office. I hadn't seen them all night, and searching the office was the first thing I could think of. Laughter reached my ears when I finally arrived. My eyebrows furrowed in confusion when I realized the laughs were coming from the office. I stared in silence. Light poured out of the windows, but I could only see their shadows inside because of the blinds. I pursed my lips, taking hesitant steps closer. I thought they would be talking about work, but I didn't expect them to be having so much fun. In all the time I've been with these brothers, I've never heard them laugh so freely. I felt a pang of jealousy because Anita could make him laugh so easily, while I couldn't even bring a smile to their faces, even though I'm their mate and Luna. It hurt, knowing I would never have a special place in any of their hearts, even though I had only them in mine. Their coldness was a constant reminder that they saw me as nothing but a nuisance. If only I weren't their mate, they wouldn't be stuck with me. Standing outside the office, listening to their laughter, I leaned closer, hoping to catch a snippet of their conversation. I was their mate and Luna, but I didn't even have the right to walk in and find out what they were talking about with their concubine. Unable to hear anything, my curiosity and insecurities grew. When the laughter suddenly stopped, I knew I had to go in. I couldn't help but feel anxious about all of them being with her. My heart raced with jealous thoughts. Before I knew it, I had pushed the door open, interrupting whatever they were doing. "Olivia, didn't we tell you to knock? How many times do we have to say you can only come in if we allow it?" Lennox's voice snapped like a whip the moment I pushed the door open. My breath caught. All 3 of them, Lennox, Levi, and Louie, were sitting intimately around Anita. Lennox sat so close his arm brushed hers, while Levi leaned back on the same couch, his broad shoulders forming a shield around her small frame. Louie perched on the armrest, his hand resting casually behind her. They looked so at ease with her, as if she belonged there. Even though I was their mate, their Luna, I had never been allowed that closeness. With me, they were always formal, distant, treating me more like a subordinate than a wife. Anita wasn't dressed for a meeting. She was barely dressed at all. A silk nightgown clung to her curves, leaving little to the imagination. I swallowed hard, my throat tight as I took in her radiant skin, smooth and flawless, her perfect figure lit by the soft glow of the lamps. She exuded effortless femininity. I clenched my jaw, comparing her to myself. Training as a warrior under the hot sun had left my skin tanned and dry, scarred by battles and roughened with calluses. My body was strong, but never delicate, never graceful. Everything Anita came naturally to her, soft, elegant, seductive, and everything I forced myself to be in public, Luna, woman, mate, felt clumsy in comparison. No wonder they don't want me, no wonder they still can't forget their first love. "What do you want?" Levi snapped, finally breaking their little circle. Anita shifted as if caught, clutching her silk robe around her shoulders, and Louie straightened, pulling his shirt back on. I blinked, dragged back to reality. Anita stood gracefully. "It must be important. I'll go," she said, gathering the dinner tray. As she passed me, she deliberately brushed against my shoulder, too forcefully. The tray slipped, crashing to the floor. Shards of glass and food were scattered everywhere, and I hissed as one sharp edge sliced into my leg. "Anita!" All three of them shouted at once, rushing to her side. They didn't even glance at me. Anita stood unscathed, but still clung to Lennox's arm, pouting. Her glare sliced through me, sharp as the glass in my skin. "I know you don't like me, Olivia, but hurting me won't change anything," she hissed. "It's not my fault the Alphas prefer me. Look in the mirror. Do you really think any man would choose you?" "Olivia, are you 4 years old?" Levi scolded, not even waiting for my side of the story. "This behavior is disgraceful. A Luna should be above childish tantrums," Louie added coldly. Their words stung more than the glass. I was their mate, their Luna. I gave everything to this pack, sleepless nights, endless duties, and yet in their eyes, I would never be enough. "What would you do if Anita had a miscarriage? I will never forgive you if you kill our child," Lennox snarled. My eyes widened at this new information. "She's pregnant," I stammered, stunned. The words slammed into me like a ton of bricks. A lump formed in my throat as I stared at Lennox, Levi, and Louie, waiting, hoping for some explanation, some defense, some shred of regret for betraying me. But all I found in their eyes was anger, not remorse, not shame. They didn't even look sorry for cheating on me, for getting another woman pregnant. Instead, Lennox glared, nostrils flaring. Levi's lips curled in disgust. Louie's gaze was ice. My heart twisted painfully. Was I really that worthless to them? Had they even considered how much this would destroy me? "You apologize to her," Lennox demanded, his voice cutting through the silence. I gasped in disbelief, staring at them as if they'd lost their minds. Did they really expect me to apologize to the woman carrying their child when I had done nothing wrong? Betrayal burned in my chest as I saw how serious they were, looking down on me as if I were dirt beneath their shoes. Had they forgotten who I was? My blood boiled as my eyes landed on Anita. She stood there, smug, hand brushing her stomach as if to remind me what she had that I didn't. She knew they were my mates, that the moon goddess had bound us. Yet she still went after them without a shred of guilt. She stole my husbands, and now I was expected to bow. If anyone owed an apology, it was them. "I'm not just a warrior in this pack," I snapped, my voice shaking with fury. "I'm your wife, your Luna. Why should I apologize to your mistress?" Levi scoffed loudly, his expression mocking. "You? A Luna?" He let out a bitter laugh. "Don't fool yourself, Olivia. You're delusional," Louis added, frustration bleeding into his tone. "When have we ever treated you as our maid or our Luna?" The words landed like a punch to the gut. "If it wasn't for you," Lennox growled, "Anita and us, we would still be together. You ruined everything." My blood ran cold. "Lennox, Levi, Louis, I'm your mate," I whispered, my lips trembling. My wolf whimpered inside me, clawing at my chest. "A mate we never wanted," Levi yelled, shattering what was left of my already broken heart. Tears blurred my vision. "The moon goddess chose us. How can you choose her over me?" My voice cracked as I begged for something, anything to hold on to. "We don't care," Louie snarled. "We never cared. You're nothing but a pack warrior. If you hadn't tricked our father into forcing us to mark you, Anita would be our true mate and our Luna." My breath caught. I stared at them, trembling, their words slicing deeper than any blade. I had always known they didn't care for me, but hearing it spoken aloud, so cruelly, was devastating. "I never manipulated your father. I never asked him to force you into this marriage." I tried to defend myself, but my voice was thin, desperate. "Really?" Lennox spat. "Then why would he ever bind us to a mere warrior?" His words left me speechless, hollow. Levi's tone turned venomous. Anita has suffered enough because of you. Stop punishing her for something that was never her fault. My whole body froze. Punishing her? In their eyes, I wasn't their mate or their Luna. I was the villain who had ruined their lives. Anita, are you okay? Did she hurt you? Louie's voice softened instantly, stripped of all the anger he'd hurled at me. I watched in silence as all three of them turned their attention to her, fussing over her as though she were made of glass. Tears pricked at my eyes. They had never looked at me with that kind of concern, never bent down to check my wounds, never treated me as though I mattered. That tenderness had only ever been reserved for Anita. I'm okay, but I'm scared. Anita's eyes watered as she looked Lennox and clutched his shirt sleeve. I fell pretty hard. What if something happened to the baby? I need to go to the hospital and get checked out. I won't be able to sleep until I know the baby is fine, Anita mumbled, her bottom lip trembling. Don't worry. I'll take you to the hospital, Lennox soothed, scooping her up without a second thought. All of them left the room and rushed off to the hospital, leaving me behind like I was invisible. My lips tightened as I glanced at the calendar. Today was our anniversary. No one remembered. None of them. My phone suddenly rang, snapping me out of my thoughts. Seeing the caller ID, my heart pounded with anxiety. It was the hospital. Hello? Luna, please come to the hospital quickly, your father. I didn't wait for her to finish. I instantly shifted into my wolf and raced to the hospital. My father had fallen seriously ill in prison. I knew he didn't have much time left, but I didn't expect it to happen so soon. Olivia, you're here. You must hurry. Your father is still alive, a familiar nurse said, recognizing me instantly. Olivia? Someone stopped me. I turned and saw Anita. What are you doing here? Are you here to cause more trouble? She taunted, her eyes blazing with anger. I didn't expect my husbands to bring Anita to the same hospital where my father was admitted. I only had a little time left, so I ignored her. Hey, I was talking to you. Didn't you hear what I said? Anita yelled after me. I had no time to wait, so I ran for the stairs instead. Olivia! Anita yelled my name repeatedly as she chased me. How dare you? You can't just ignore me like that. I gasped when Anita suddenly grabbed my arm and spun me around, nearly making me lose my balance. Anita, I need to go, I said firmly, looking her straight in the eye. But she didn't let go. Instead, she stepped closer, blocking my path to the stairs. Your father's dying right now, isn't he? She asked, her voice dropping to a whisper. But there was no sympathy in her tone, only cruel satisfaction. My blood ran cold. Let me pass. The nurses were talking about it, she continued, examining her nails casually. How tragic. Dying alone in a hospital room after 7 years of isolation. And you won't even get to say goodbye. Get out of my way, I growled. She tilted her head, a small smile playing on her lips. You know, I've always wondered if you ever questioned it, your father's arrest, I mean. The evidence was just so perfect. His fingerprints on the vault, stolen goods in his quarters, multiple witnesses. Almost like someone planned it. My heart began to pound. What are you saying? I'm saying your father didn't steal anything, Olivia. Someone made sure everyone thought he did. Someone who needed your family destroyed so you'd never be a threat. The world tilted beneath my feet. You. Me, she confirmed, her smile widening. I did what I had to do. You were getting too close to them. Your father was making you strong, capable, everything a Luna should be. The old Alpha was already talking about you as a potential match for his sons. I couldn't let that happen. Tears blurred my vision. He spent 7 years in prison because of you, 7 years of suffering, and it was worth every second. She cut me off, her eyes gleaming with triumph. Because in the end, they still chose me. Even after the moon goddess declared you their mate, even after their father forced them to mark you, they still love me, not you, me. She placed her hand on her belly, that smug smile never leaving her face. And now I'm carrying their child, the heir you could never give them. Face it, Olivia, you've already lost. You're a monster, I whispered, my voice shaking with rage and grief. I'm a winner, she replied calmly. And you? You're about to lose everything else, too. I yanked my arm back, and she pulled against me, off balance. Her heel slipped and fell. She crumpled at the bottom of the stairs, clutching her stomach, her breath ragged. I froze. Anita? Then footsteps. Anita! Lennox's voice cracked as he rushed down. Levi and Louie followed, dropping to her side. Lennox! she gasped, blood staining her dress. The baby! The air thickened. Their eyes, already panicked, flicked to me. Not with question, with certainty. Hatred blazed in their gazes. She pushed me, Anita cried. She tried to kill me and our child. That's a lie, I shouted, my voice echoing through the sterile hallway. Enough! Lennox's alpha command slammed into me, forcing my wolf to submit, my knees nearly buckling. I don't want to hear another word from you. Nurses and doctors rushed past, wheeling Anita toward the emergency room. She reached out weakly toward the Alphas, her face pale, blood staining her dress. Promise me, Anita gasped, her voice barely audible. Promise me you'll protect our baby, even if I don't make it. Don't say that. Levi's voice cracked as he grabbed her hand. You're going to be fine. Both of you. We promise, Louie added, his jaw tight. Nothing will happen to you or our child. Our child. The words echoed in my mind like a death sentence. I watched, invisible, as they surrounded her stretcher, their hands reaching for her, their eyes filled with fear and love, emotions I'd never seen directed at me. The emergency room doors swung shut, leaving me alone in the hallway. Minutes crawled by like hours. Levi's voice cut through the air sharp as a blade. Olivia, you'll stay here until we're sure Anita and the baby are safe. And for what you've done, Louie added, his glare pinning me in place. You will be punished. No, please, you don't understand, I begged, desperation clawing at me. My father is in danger. He needs me. Stop making excuses, Lennox snapped. You are not leaving until we say so. Doctors and nurses arrived, lifting Anita carefully onto a stretcher, rushing her toward the emergency room. All three of my mates hovered, their eyes locked on her, not sparing me even a glance. Lennox, Levi, Louie, please, I cried, tears spilling freely. My father is waiting for me. He's dying. My knees buckled, and I dropped before them, lowering myself to the ground, clinging to what little dignity I had left. Please, just let me see him before he's gone. You know who else might be dying? Levi's voice was ice. Our baby, and it's all because of you. You're not going anywhere, Louis finished, his voice cold and final. Not until we say so. Is that clear? Tears blurred my vision as Lennox shoved me aside. I fell hard against the cold floor, sobs shaking me while my father's final moments slipped away. Minutes later, a doctor reemerged, his expression grim. I'm sorry, Anita lost the baby. Anita broke into sobs instantly, her wails echoing down the hall. I watched as everything I feared came true. All three of them surrounded her with the tenderness they'd never once shown me. They chose to believe her lies over my desperate pleas. They always chose her. Always. Something inside me shattered beyond repair. I watched as she clung to Lennox. Levi's fist slammed against the wall and Louie's face twisted with fury. Lennox's eyes snapped to me, burning with hatred. This is your doing, Olivia. You've destroyed everything. You killed our child. Levi's voice was venom, trembling with fury. You think you can just walk away from this? No. You will pay. You'll pay with your freedom. Louie stepped forward, his voice low and cold as steel. From this moment, consider yourself stripped of every protection you had as our Luna. For this crime, you'll rot in the pack prison until we decide what's left of you is worth keeping. I shook my head wildly, tears streaming down my face. No, please, I didn't touch her. I swear I didn't. She fell. Enough of your lies. Lennox roared, Anita's sobs muffled against his chest. The moon goddess should strike you down for this, but we'll do it ourselves if we must. Levi's eyes glistened with unshed tears, his fury raw. You murdered our heir. That blood is on your hands, Olivia, on your hands. Louie's lip curled in disgust. Guards will drag you in chains if you don't go yourself. You will be imprisoned and you will be punished. That's the only justice for what you've done. Their voices crashed over me like thunder, one after another, until my sobs choked in my throat. All three of them, the men fate had bound me to, looked at me not as their mate, not as their Luna, but as a murderer. Their hatred burned hotter than fire, leaving me trembling. But even through the storm of their words, only one thought consumed me. My father. My chest ached as I staggered back, praying I wasn't too late to see him alive one last time. Dad! My lips quivered when I entered her room, only to see him lying on the bed coldly. I felt the world stop as his beeping heart monitor filled my ears. The flatline was a reminder that I came too late. Dad! I wailed loudly as I hugged his lifeless body. All I could do was cry because he was gone. Because of my mates, I wasn't able to see my beloved father for the last time. I hadn't stopped crying since he died. Still, I hated myself. What was the point of planning his funeral and crying when I wasn't there for him when he needed me most? In his final days, I wasn't even there to comfort him. Olivia. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. The mate bond still connected us, even though it felt more like chains than comfort. "We just heard," Lennox said quietly. "About your father. We're sorry." I didn't respond. "What was there to say?" "The doctor confirmed it," Louie continued, his voice rough. "About Anita's baby. There were pre-existing complications, medical issues. The miscarriage would have happened regardless of the fall." My hands tightened around my father's cold fingers. So they finally knew the truth. I hadn't killed their child. But it didn't change anything. My father was still dead. I'd still missed his final moments because they chose to believe her over me. "We should have listened," Louis said quietly. "When you said your father was dying, we should have let you go." A bitter laugh escaped my lips. "You should have believed me about a lot of things, but you never did. You never will. Olivia, we want to help." "You've helped enough," I said quietly. "You helped break me, helped bury me before I was dead." I listened as they left, their footsteps fading down the hospital corridor, and in that moment, surrounded by the cold sterility of death, I made a decision. A final, irrevocable decision. If they wanted to be free of me so badly, I would grant them that freedom. Permanently. But before I could leave for good, there was one last duty I owed, the burial of my father. The funeral passed in a blur. Guests offered their condolences, then drifted away one by one until silence settled over the house. I packed up quietly, my heart hollow. My husbands never came. Not for the service, not to stand beside me, not even to show respect to the man who had raised their Luna. Their absence cut deeper than any blade, and in my heart, I laid the blame squarely on them. If not for their cruelty, I would have been with my father in his last breath. As I folded the final cloth, footsteps echoed behind me. I turned, expecting another mourner. But it was them, Lennox, Levi, and Louie. They looked disheveled, as though they had rushed here too late, their faces unreadable. But the funeral was over. My father was already gone, and no excuse could erase the truth. They had stolen my last chance to say goodbye. "Olivia, we couldn't leave early," Lennox said, his tone clipped but defensive. "Anita wasn't well, and we couldn't just walk away from her like that." I stopped and turned to face him, my fists clenched at my sides. "Was Anita's comfort more important than being there for your mate when she needed you most?" I shot back, my voice sharp with rage. For a split second, I saw something flicker in his eyes. Remorse, maybe. But it vanished as quickly as it came. "You know what? You didn't even need to come here," I said bitterly, glaring at all three of them. "If you hadn't stopped me that night, I could have seen my father while he was still alive." Levi snapped. "We had no idea. I kept telling you my father needed me." I cut him off, shouting now, my fists trembling. "But none of you listened. All you cared about was Anita, your precious Anita." A heavy silence fell, but I didn't stop. My chest heaved as I finally released the words I had buried. "Oh yes, how could I forget?" My laugh was bitter, broken. "You were too busy blaming me for the death of your mistress's unborn child to care that my father was dying." Levi stepped forward, his face tight. "Olivia, you don't understand. Don't you dare finish that sentence," I snapped, my hands trembling. "I understand perfectly. You thought of yourselves, of Anita, of everything but me." They flinched, but none of them spoke. Their silence only fueled the fire raging in my chest. I shook my head, my voice rising. "You all call yourselves alphas? Protectors? Leaders? You're nothing but monsters. You stripped me of my dignity, you shackled me with blame, and for what? To make yourselves feel righteous while I drowned in grief? Enough." Lennox's roar cracked the air, but his eyes gave him away, dark, uncertain, conflicted. "No, not enough," I hurled back, tears spilling freely. "You wanted to throw me into a prison cell for a crime I didn't commit. You wanted me to rot while Anita fed you lies, and you believed her without hesitation." My voice cracked, sharp with grief. "But I'll save you the trouble. I'll relieve you of the stress of punishing me." Their gazes snapped to me, alarm flashing across their faces. "I'm leaving you all. I declared, my chest heaving. I am done being your scapegoat, done being your burden, done being your Luna in name but never in heart. My lips quivered as I forced the final words out. I will reject our mate bonds. For a moment, silence crashed down, heavy and suffocating. Then their fury reignited. Don't you dare! Levi's voice cracked with panic, his alpha command lacing every syllable. You don't understand what you're saying, what this will do to us. You think you can walk away from us? Louis's eyes were wild, his breath ragged. From me? From all of us? The moon goddess herself chose you. You don't get to turn your back on fate. Lennox's tone was raw, guttural. You think rejection will set you free, Olivia? It will destroy you. It will kill you. His chest heaved, his voice dropping into a snarl. And still, after everything, you'd rather die than stand beside us? I laughed again, bitter and broken, my voice hollow. Stand beside you when you pushed me into the dirt and chose her over me every single time? I would rather bleed out alone than spend another second chained to you three. Their eyes widened, shock and terror finally cutting through their anger. Levi reached out, his voice breaking. Olivia, please, don't do this. But I had already made my choice. I'm your wife, your Luna, but I've never mattered, not once. My voice cracked, but I held my ground. My wolf stirred inside me, claws dragging against my chest. Do it, she whispered, her voice a growl. End this. Free us. And for the first time in 3 years, my wolf and I were in perfect agreement. I looked at each of them. I don't hate you. I pity you. You spent your lives running from love, hiding behind duty, power, her, and now you're terrified because I'm the first one who walked away. I took a breath. I, Olivia Parker, release you. I reject you as my mates. No! Lennox's voice boomed, panic breaking through his composure. The moment I rejected the mate bond, agony ripped through me. I clutched my chest, gasping, the blade trembling in my hand. Across from me, I saw the pain hit them, too. Lennox's face went pale, his eyes wide with horror as his body stiffened. Levi doubled over, clutching his ribs like he could hold himself together. Louie staggered, his hand braced against the wall, his jaw clenched, his eyes wild, but it wasn't enough. Maybe death is the only way I can be free from you three. I spat. My voice was raw, empty, nothing but pain. I reached into my bag and pulled out a silver blade. The silver glinted under the corridor light, cruel and perfect. Their eyes widened. No, Olivia, stop! Lennox surged forward, his arm outstretched. But it was too late. In one swift, terrible motion, I dragged the blade across my throat. Their screams tore through the hall. No! The world tilted. My knees buckled. Warmth gushed down my neck, seeping into my clothes. I gasped, choking, the metallic tang of blood filling my mouth. Lennox caught me before I hit the ground, his hands slick with my blood. No, stay with me. His voice broke, desperate. Levi pressed his hands over the wound, trembling. We can fix this. We need to heal her, goddess. Please, don't leave. Louie's wolf surfaced in a violent growl, pacing inside him, frantic. His hands shook as he tried to channel energy, his alpha command wavering. Olivia, fight! Don't you dare give up on us! I wanted to laugh, to scream, to tell them it was too late. My vision blurred, darkness creeping in at the edges. For the first time in years, I felt free. Their faces hovered above me, panic etched into every line. But their pleas came too late. They had ignored me when I begged for years. Now nothing they said could bind me to them. My wolf whimpered, her voice fading. We're free now, Olivia. I let my eyes close. Lennox's knees hit the ground as he watched Olivia collapse, a dark stain spreading across her neck as her body trembled and her eyes fluttered closed. His wolf let out a mournful howl that echoed through the halls. Levi stormed inside, scooping Olivia's unconscious body into his arms. Panic clawed at his chest as he lifted her, the alarming crimson stain spreading from the gash on her neck. Get the healer! Louie shouted as he ran behind him, while Lennox stood frozen, his expression blank with shock, as if his mind couldn't process what was happening. My blood was everywhere, on Levi's shirt, on Louie's hands, dripping onto the marble floor as they ran through the packhouse halls. Move! Levi roared at pack members who'd stopped to stare. Get out of the way! I could hear them distantly like I was underwater. Their voices were muffled, panicked. Strange, I thought hazily. I'd never heard them panic before. Olivia, stay with me. That was Levi, his arms trembling beneath me. Don't you dare close your eyes, but my eyes were so heavy, and I was tired, so tired. Louie, she's not responding. Levi's voice cracked. Just get her to the room. Louie was right beside us, his hand pressed against my throat. I wanted to tell him it was useless, that the silver had already done its job, that I'd chosen the one metal even an alpha's healing couldn't fight. They burst into my bedroom, the one I'd slept in alone every night of our marriage while they shared theirs with Anita. The bed dipped as Levi lay me down, and I felt his hand shaking as he pulled away, my blood staining his palms crimson. No, no, no. Louie replaced him instantly, pressing down on the wound with both hands. Olivia, come on. Fight this. Fight. But I didn't want to fight anymore. Where the hell is Lennox? Levi's voice was raw. I'm here. Lennox appeared in the doorway, ashen-faced, his eyes locked on me. On all the blood. I called the healer. She's coming. She's not going to make it that long, Louie shouted. Look at her. There was a horrible silence, then, this is my fault, Lennox said quietly. This is all of our faults, Levi corrected, his voice hollow. We did this. We drove her to... Don't. Louis's command was sharp. Don't say it. She's not dead. She's not. But I was close. I could feel it, the way my wolf had already retreated deep inside, not wanting to feel the pain of the severed mate bond. The way my body was growing cold, the way their voices were fading. Olivia. Lennox was suddenly beside the bed, his hand covering mine. His touch was warm. I'd forgotten what his warmth felt like. You don't get to leave. Not like this. Not when I... He stopped, and I would never know what he was about to say, because the darkness was pulling me under. The last thing I heard was Louie, her heartbeats dropping. Then nothing. Levi's heart pounded in sync with his wolf's frantic howling. Ignoring the warmth spreading across his clothes from her wound, he carried her straight into the pack house and up to her room. He laid her on the bed and pressed his trembling hand to her neck, trying to staunch the bleeding. No, he choked out, staring at the crimson seeping between his fingers. It wasn't slowing, it wasn't stopping. Where's the damn healer? Louie shouted at the top of his lungs. Just then, the door pushed open, and the pack healer rushed in along with Olivia's mother. The healer hurried to the bedside, her eyes widening as she took in Olivia's condition. What happened? The healer demanded, dropping to her knees beside the bed. She stabbed herself, Levi stammered, his voice thick with fear. The healer's hands glowed with a soft, golden light as she hovered them over Olivia's neck, murmuring an incantation. Levi held his breath, hoping to see the bleeding slow or stop altogether. But nothing changed. The bleeding continued, staining the sheets beneath her. The healer frowned, her hands trembling as the light flickered and faded. What's wrong? Lennox asked, his face stricken with terror. I don't understand, the healer whispered, sweat beading on her forehead. She's resisting my ability. It's as if she doesn't want to be healed. What do you mean she doesn't want to be healed? Levi snapped, barely containing the growl rumbling in his chest. She's unconscious. She doesn't even know she's hurt. The healer shook her head, clearly just as confused as the rest of them. Sometimes it happens when the spirit is rejecting life, when the will to survive is weakened. But I've never seen it this strong before. It's like her body is consciously fighting against my healing. Louis cursed under his breath, pacing by the door, while Lennox remained frozen in shock. Do something, Levi pleaded, his throat burning. There has to be something you can do. The healer closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. I'll try another method. But if her spirit doesn't cooperate, it may not work. Someone needs to speak to her, call out to her. Sometimes hearing a loved one's voice can remind the soul why it needs to stay. Louis scoffed, running a hand through his hair, clearly fighting his own frustration. He stepped closer to the bed, his jaw clenched tight. Olivia, he muttered, his voice softer than before, almost reluctant. I swear, if you die on us now after everything, I'm going to give you hell in the afterlife. You're not allowed to just leave like this. You think you're the only one hurting? You're not. So stop being so stubborn and wake up. I don't want to be a widower yet. Lennox cursed under his breath, hesitating before stepping forward as well. He looked away, his voice low and strained. You always act like you're some lone wolf, like you don't need anyone. I hate it. But you know what? You've got people who care about you, people who tear the world apart to keep you safe. You can't just give up now, not when we're still here fighting for you. Stop being selfish and open your eyes. He hesitated, his throat bobbing as he swallowed hard. Look, Olivia, you always act like you don't care about anything, but I know you're not that heartless. If you're just giving up now, then you're proving us right, proving that you're too weak to handle this. Don't be that coward. Prove us wrong for once. He rubbed his hand over his face, trying to hide the crack in his voice. Louie shook his head, pretending to be annoyed, but the guilt in his eyes betrayed him. They wouldn't admit it, but they were hurting equally. Swallowing back the tightness in his throat, Levi leaned in close to Olivia, brushing her hair from her face. Hear that, Olivia? They're worried about you, even if they're too stubborn to say it right. You're not allowed to give up on us. We're not giving up on you, so come back, please. Silence. Olivia remained still, pale as death. The healer shook her head gravely. I've done all I can. Her spirit is slipping away. Even if she survives, I don't know what she'll be when she wakes. A guard rushed in, breathless and wide-eyed. Alphas, forgive the interruption, but... He glanced at Olivia's unconscious form, then continued urgently. Anita is here. She's demanding to see you immediately. Tell her to leave, Lennox said coldly, his eyes never leaving Olivia's pale face. We're not seeing anyone. But Alphas, she insists it's urgent. I said no. Levi's voice cut through like a blade. For the first time since they'd marked her, the three Alphas stood united. Not for Anita, but for the mate they'd rejected. The mate they might have just lost forever. And only then did they notice. A faint silver glow began emanating from Olivia's body, so subtle they'd almost missed it. The crescent-shaped mark on her shoulder blade, barely visible before, started to pulse with ethereal light. What? What is that? Louie whispered, his voice filled with wonder and fear. The healer's eyes widened in shock and awe. The goddess's mark. She looked up at the Alphas, her voice trembling. The moon goddess is claiming her. The silver glow intensified for just a moment, washing the room in divine light, then faded back to a barely perceptible shimmer around Olivia's still form. What does that mean? Lennox demanded. Is she going to survive? She's caught between life and death, the healer whispered. The goddess is deciding her fate. All we can do is wait. The three Alphas exchanged glances, fear, regret, and something else flickering in their eyes. Hope, perhaps. Or the terrifying realization of what they stood to lose. Thunder rolled across the darkened sky, as if the heavens themselves were watching, waiting. Between life and death, Olivia lies marked by the moon goddess. The Alphas who rejected her finally realize what they're losing. But will she even survive? And if she does, will she ever forgive them? Can the mate bond they shattered ever be repaired? Or will the moon goddess's mark give her the power to break free from them forever?
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.